Almost every hero in Overwatch can perform a quick melee attack that deals 40 damage. But here's the thing, some of these attacks look way more dangerous than the others. Take Hazard for example. He launches with a sharp shot attached to his arm. Compared to Kiriko's simple punch, Hazard's strike looks far more menacing. And yet, both of these attacks do exactly 40 damage, which I don't think is fair, given how different these attacks look and feel. So what if we change that and gave every Overwatch hero different damage values for their quick melee attacks, based on how dangerous they look, what weapon they're holding, or how they actually attack? Let's find out. The first thing we have to do is separate quick melee attacks into 6 different categories. First up, we've got the weapon melee attacks, where a hero smacks you with their gun. The punch category uses heroes' free hand. The sharp category are heroes who use their secondary weapons or weapons from their abilities for quick melee. The push category, no, not that one, this one,
Namaste.
is a category where a hero's quick melee looks as if they're trying to shove you away. The heroes who like to use their legs. And the last category, well, technically it's not a category, are heroes who do not have a quick melee attack. Each one of these categories is going to determine how much damage a quick melee is going to do. And there is one major factor we have to take into consideration when deciding on the damage values, and that is the surface of the hero's attack. For example, if we look at the punch category and take Kiriko and Orisa, we cannot assign them the same damage value due to Kiriko's punch being considerably smaller than the Orisa's robotic arm. If we replace Orisa with Cassidy, then Kiriko, once again, loses the quick melee duel, due to Cassidy having a robotic arm instead of a human one. And before any of you say that Kiriko has that one Omnic skin from the PvE event, shouldn't that boost her melee damage, thus making it a pay-to-win skin? And the answer is no, we do not count custom skins. For this video's purposes, we are going to use default Overwatch 2 skins. Soldier shoves his entire weapon forward with both of his hands, while Tracer only uses just one of her blasters. So naturally, a surface of a whole weapon with double the applied force is going to do more damage. Oh, and just so we are clear, I will not be taking into consideration the hero genders. That's one of a hell of a rabbit hole that I do not want to dig myself into. So for the purposes of this video, we shall primarily look at the types and surfaces of quick melee attacks. So how much damage should every hero do with their quick melee attacks then? We don't want melee attacks to be too low, to a point where it's just better to shoot or reload your weapon. But we also don't want it to be too high, to the point where some heroes become a budget version of Reinhardt. So for the bare minimum damage, I think it will make sense to take the hero with the lowest quick melee damage in the game. Venture. So does this look like 30 damage to ya? Okay, so in case you didn't know, Venture has 2 stages to their quick melee. The first initial impact that you do after pressing a melee button, and the damage over time that you do as long as you keep hitting an enemy with that suspicious looking weapon. As for the maximum quick melee damage, we are going to do the same and take the hero with the highest quick melee damage in the game. Torbjorn.
Hi, hello!
At 70 damage per swing. And okay, we can argue that this does not count, since it's technically a secondary weapon, but I'm making an exception for this one. Why? Well, because I can. So let me introduce you to a scale that I call how much will it hurt, or hurt-o-meter for short, which is basically my approximate estimation of how much a certain quick melee attack will hurt you if somebody were to do this to you in real life. Low being a relatively weak attack which does 30 to 40 damage. Medium hurts a bit more and you probably have to apply a band-aid. This one is for 50 damage. And high damage is when you probably have to call for a medic. This one is reserved for 60 and 70 damage. The first category we are going to cover is the quick melee that utilizes hero's primary weapon. There are in total 11 heroes in this category and we're gonna divide them into 3 separate size groups: small, medium and heavy weapons. The weapons of smaller size are not particularly dangerous relative to the size of other weapons that we'll cover in a moment. Sure, it can still hurt you, but we also have to take into the equation the fact that only one arm is used to swing the weapon, which in theory should result in lower damage. So for this group, I'm giving everybody here a quick melee damage of 40, which is the current default value, meaning we don't have to change anything. The medium weapon group, as the name suggests, covers medium-sized weapons, and in comparison to smaller weapon group, the heroes on this list utilize both of their arms to either swing or shove a weapon at the enemy heroes. And when both arms are used, you naturally apply more force, thus more damage. Oh, and in case you noticed, Mercy is listed twice in the same category. That is due to her having two weapons with different melee animations. In this case, she uses both of her arms to swing her staff, so we are including her in this group as well. So when it comes to damage value for medium-sized weapons, it is fittingly going to be in the medium damage scale, which is 50 damage. And yes, this does in fact mean that Venture can do overall 90 damage, since we are talking about impact damage and not damage over time. So, yeah, fun hero. The heavy weapons guy. The heavy weapons category is quite self-explanatory. Bigger weapons, more damage. If you were to get bonked by D.Va's mecha guns, you would probably be left with a concussion. And considering the size of Mauga and his guns, it is most likely equivalent to being hit by a truck. I mean, look at this gun. If we place it next to some heroes, the machine guns are taller than them. Oh, and we should not forget that D.Va has two forms. A mecha form, where she uses her mecha arms, and a baby D.Va form, which gives her a pistol instead. So for both of these D.Va forms, they should have different damage values. 60 for mecha and 40 for baby D.Va. Hey, so you remember I said there are 11 heroes in the gun melee category, right? Well, technically speaking, there are 12 heroes, and that hero has a mismatching animation in first and third person. Zarya. In first person, we can see that Zarya clearly uses a punch animation, but if we go outside of the first person and look from the third person, she uses her weapon instead. So this is a bit of a paradox for me, as I have no idea how I should be classifying Zarya. Does she belong in the punch or weapon category? Let me know what you all think. Now let's move on to the category that anyone who's ever gone 0-10 in ranked will be all too familiar with. The punch category. As I mentioned earlier, one of the factors that determine the damage of a quick melee is based on the surface. You see, when it comes to Overwatch heroes, a lot of them have futuristic clothes, accessories, and augmentations as part of their hero model. And some replace parts of their bodies with robotic prosthetics, and some are, well, just made out of metal. So therefore, we again have to divide this category into three groups. Bare hands, which is a category of heroes that do not have or use parts of their accessories during quick melee. Reinforced, which is the opposite of bare hands. And armored, which are heroes who have their arm fully covered or made out of metal. The reason why we put these heroes into the bare hands category is due to them not having any sort of accessories around their fingers or knuckles. If we compare Junkrat and Kiriko with a hero like Ana, we can see that their fists are flat, while Ana has finger and knuckle protectors. However, Mei does actually have the very same protectors around her knuckles like Ana, but I've decided to put Mei in this category purely because she's wearing winter gloves, I guess, which I assume will soften the punch to some degree. Hanzo and Wife Lever do not actually have a punch animation. Instead, they do a palm heel strike, which in theory should not be as harmful as a punch, but still can hurt a lot. And with that being said, the lack of small aesthetic details forced me to put these heroes into the lowest damage category. When it comes to the reinforced group, it is the opposite of what was previously said. The heroes in this one do actually have some protection around their fists, which does increase the potential damage of their attacks. You may notice that Junker Queen is present on this list. Even though it can be a rare thing to see, she is capable of punching whenever her knife is not in her hand. Reaper doesn't actually punch anyone, but instead uses his elbow. And if we look close to his elbows, we can notice the spikes around them. Maybe I should have put him into the sharp category, who knows. Juno, just like Zarya, has two different quick melee animations. In first person, we can see Juno using a kick, and same for the third person. However, if she crouches, then instead of a kick, it becomes a punch. So just like Zarya, I'm not 100% sure if I should include Juno in this category. So with all that, I'm keeping the damage value as default for this one. Because while the reinforced punch can hurt a lot, it does not hurt as much as having a whole weapon being shoved into your face. So I think keeping it on the same level as small weapons is quite fair. I believe we all know how it feels like to have a heavy metal object fall on us. Now multiply that by 10 times and you probably know how it feels like to get hit by these heroes. But that's just a theory. I mean, if we are comparing a regular punch from Kiriko versus a robotic arm of Orisa, we probably know which one is going to deal more damage, right?
Exterminate. Exterminar. Kujoseyo. Exterminate.
Well, if you damage booster Nano Kiriko, then her punch is going to deal more damage there. If we were to make a subcategory for a subcategory, then we will see that it is further divided into Omnics, Humans, and Winston. Wait, Why is Winston on this list? Well, technically he belongs in the reinforced category, but due to his fist size being way bigger than most other heroes, I decided to put him in the armored category. As for humans, I said humans, not demons. Cassidy and Torbjorn have a robotic arm, while Farah is wearing an armored suit, and Sojourn plays way too much cyberpunk. So these two subway categories belong in the middle of the hertometer scale. Bastion, Orisa, and Ramatra, as you may have guessed, are quite big and made out of metal, whose quick melee attacks should hurt you just as much as having D.Va bonk you in the head. Therefore, it would make sense to give them 60 damage for quick melee as well. And now, let's make things a bit more interesting. Now that we covered two major categories of quick melee attacks, it won't be fun to just give damage values for the last three categories. Do you agree? So let's also give them special properties. The sharp category is a category of heroes who use what I like to call ability weapon, which is essentially something that you see them use during hero ability usage, like Genji's knife during deflect. I did also include Moira to this list because, well, those look very sharp to me, not gonna lie. So this category, every hero on this list will deal anywhere from 40 to 70 impact damage, an additional 20 bleed damage, basically copying Junker Queen's melee, but without lifesteal effect. And once again, we divide these heroes into three groups. Hazard and Roadhog both have one of the most dangerous looking melee weapons in the game, and we can all sort of agree that we are not going to make it out alive if we got hit by one of these attacks. Therefore, these two heroes are sole owners of 70 quick melee damage, which makes it even more lethal with additional 20 bleed damage. Please do not hate me. Junker Queen and Genji both share 50 impact damage, but Junker Queen retains 25 bleed damage. And lastly, well, Moira. Alright, let's move on. The push category, technically speaking, has only one hero in it, Symmetra. However, we can unfortunately also include Moira to this list, due to her having two different quick melee animations. The one we just saw from the sharp category, and the second one where it might look like she's trying to push somebody. Does this count? Maybe, I guess, yeah. Regardless though, out of all the quick melee attacks, this one looks to be the least threatening. Therefore, it receives an incredible 30 damage mark from me. However though, to compensate for the low damage, and because there are just a few heroes in this category, it will be fun if you could disorient your targets during a push, or in other words, when this quick melee is used, a target gets pushed back, as well as gets stunned for 0.5 seconds. And yes, you can do this to multiple targets at the same time, and even act as a budget Zenyatta. But for Moira, it's a 50-50 chance whether you push an enemy or cause a bleed effect. So good luck gambling on that one. So just like the push category, kick category also has just two heroes on the list, Zenyatta and Juno. And by default, Zenyatta deals 60 damage with his kick, while Juno is at 40. So it will make sense to meet in the middle and give both of them 50 damage per kick, which also makes sense considering Zenyatta is an Omnic and Juno is wearing heavy anti-gravity boots. But in case you're a Zenyatta main and you are super angry at me for nerfing your favorite hero, let me show you what a special property I'm giving to these two heroes. Yep, both Zenyatta and Juno can now do critical hits if they aim their foot at the enemy's head, meaning that you can deal 125 damage with Zenyatta's Discord, or 130 with Juno's ultimate. Or if you get nano boosted, you can do this.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Absolutely balanced, if you ask me.
So what you're saying is that a kick to the head is almost as lethal as a bullet to the head?
Yes.
Here's the list of all the quick melee damage changes, sorted in alphabetical and damage descending order. It will take you about 9 quick melee hits to kill Anna with 30 damage, 7 hits with 40 damage, 5 hits with 50 and 60 damage, 4 hits with 70 damage. Whew, well, that was a lot of yapping. This video took a while to make, and I want to thank everyone who watches these videos. It's actually been more than about a year since I've started making Overwatch videos, and if you're still here watching this part, then I want to say thank you. I really appreciate it. And while it's not necessary, if you'd like to support my content a bit more, then I'd be happy if you became a YouTube member, Patreon, or just became part of my Discord community. But just watching my videos is more than enough. Again, thank you everybody as always, and I shall see you in the next one.